Well, this past week, everyone I know got sick. This left me just chilling, watching movies, as well as the entire series of Yellowstone. So what do we do when we consume a bunch of movies and digest a bunch of opinions about these movies? We dump them into a video, that's what. We call that a movie dump. Ferrari. I guess I wasn't at home the whole time. I did sneak out to go see Ferrari. Adam Driver is so enormous in this compared to everyone else. When the credits rolled, I actually looked up how big the real Enzo was. 6'2". And for that time period, that is just enormous. A 6'2" guy in Italy, it's like fucking Godzilla driving around a Ferrari. This movie is about a specific time period in Ferrari's life when all the chips were down. The company's losing money, his wife's not happy, his mistress wants a little bit of commitment to her and their son. But Enzo has a race to think about. Fuck everything else. For the record, that Italian accent I just did is just as good as everyone else's in the movie. I'm not going to say this movie's boring, but it is a slow burn. I just didn't expect a movie with racing and race cars to be a 2-hour slow burn. Then only with like 20 minutes left in the runtime, they just hit you with this moment. It dropped my jaw to the fucking floor. Everyone in the theater is like, This leads me to my next point. I wasn't familiar with this point in the Ferrari history. Previous knowledge is definitely required here. I'm not a car guy. I don't know the history of the company or this dude in general. Just what I've seen of him in other movies. A lot of this information that I'm seeing, I'm learning for the first time. I also barely know what happened after this jaw-dropping event. So historically, this does require some previous knowledge and or research after the fact, just to know what the hell's going on. The acting is good, especially Penelope Cruz. I think this might be her best role. She was probably my favorite character in the movie. Acting her ass off. Straight up, the Italian accents were lazy. I didn't know that Shailene Woodley was in this, but her Italian accent is barely existent at all. You could have told me she was from America. I would have been like, yeah, all right. And Adam Driver as Ferrari, just very stone cold. Not too much emotion from him. He was fine. But I imagine that's how the guy actually was, so he probably did a great job. I don't know. I don't know the guy. I don't know the history. As far as driving racing flicks go, it's fine. It's not nearly as good as Ford versus Ferrari. And Rush is a way better movie, too. This one's just lower tier on that scale of car racing movies that I've seen. I'll fucking take Days of Thunder over this one. Leave the world behind. I don't really want to dive into this one too much, because I don't want to sway anyone's opinions one way or another. But overall, I liked it, even though there were some scenes that really dragged. I wouldn't say that it blew me away by any means, but the suspense and the mystery of it were top-notch. I was fully invested in the wonder of what could be happening. The characters were fine. I didn't particularly love any one of them, but they did represent specific kinds of people that would be notable in this scenario. And one of those things that I really liked was how these people reacted to each other. At first, very standoffish, but eventually hopeful. Given the situation, it's how I would hope people would treat each other. The scariest thing about it is how this thing ends, and paying attention to who produced it. I feel like that ramps up the realism, and that genuinely freaks me out. Better stock up on those canned foods, folks. SALTBURN! Uncomfortable and gross, but in the end, I liked it a lot. This weird, unpopular fella makes friends with a sexy rich guy at Oxford, and sexy rich guy invites him to his mansion for the summer at SALTBURN. Then some weird, uncomfortable shit happens, and so on and so on. When you first meet Rosamund Pike, her presence is very overbearing.
Hello, Oliver, darling. Oh, what beautiful eyes. Oh, how wonderful.
Yeah, I told you it wasn't a minger.
Oh, but darling, you're kind about everyone. You can't be trusted.
And that's the thing that kicked off my anxious dislike for this family. This dude that plays the weird guy, Oliver, what a crazy character to play. And Barry Keoghan is the perfect actor to play this character. And at this point, I'm gonna need him to start playing some more charming roles to convince me that he's not a total fucking psychopath. The color choices and camera angles and cinematography for certain shots were superb. There's so much good symbolism going on here. Lots of fun stuff to pick apart and look at. Absolutely fucked up movie, but by the end, I was like, yeah, that was sweet. Nice little smorgasbord of evil going on in this one. There's a lot of dong, too. Lots of dong. The Holdovers! My ma told me to watch this one, so I did. This takes place in the early 70s at a prep school during the holidays. For the kids that have nowhere to go, a teacher is asked to stay behind and watch over them for like 2 weeks. You know, the holidays. And this group of children is known as the Holdovers. Directed by the same dude that did Sideways and Election and The Descendants, this flick is just as good in its own way. It encapsulates its time period perfectly. And it's made like it too. The filming style, the editing style, the music, it's all 60s, 70s. We get to see a handful of characters, all of which have a big chip on their shoulder, learn to get along and celebrate the holidays in their own way with this short-term makeshift family. I went in with no expectations and I was pleasantly surprised. It was charming and wholesome and heartwarming. The acting too. Ugh! Paul Giamatti, Divine Randolph, Dominic Sessa, they just killed it. This might be news to you, but I'm not much of a holiday guy. I'm a bit of a humbug, bit of a Grinch. And I will make it a priority to watch The Holdovers every holiday season. It fills my heart with joy. The Shadow! The superhero classic from 1994 starring Alec Baldwin as the Shadow. This is an obvious cash grab from the hype created by Batman 1989 and Batman Returns. It's a blatant, cheap ripoff. The Shadow is a vigilante that has these ominous powers that give him a big nose, and mind control, and shadow skills. And obviously, to intimidate criminals, he just laughs over and over and over. Who's there? So much Alec Baldwin laughing. The villain in this is the last descendant of Genghis Khan, and he has mind control powers also because, you know, he trained at the same temple as Alec Baldwin did. It's very like Batman Ra's al Ghul shit, you know? So last descendant of Genghis Khan, he manipulates or mind controls Gandalf and Pennywise to build an atomic bomb. Even though this takes place in the 30s, years before Oppenheimer created the atomic bomb. Speaking of which, it's hilarious watching this after seeing Oppenheimer because what took years of hard work and science from the best scientists in the world, these two guys were able to do it in less than a week. I suppose it could be done between a wizard and a monster clown. In 1994, CGI is still a new thing, so whatever CGI they use in this looks terrible. But the practical special effects are actually pretty cool. There's like a cool effect where Alec Baldwin is a shadow and Alec Baldwin like appears out of the shadow. I like how it looked. It looked cool. I found it on the free YouTube movie channel. It's bad. It's a really bad movie. Just Alec Baldwin laughing. And his catchphrase is like, "The Shadow knows."
The Shadow knows.
I'm not really sure how he got the reputation of just knowing everything, but someone would say something very obvious, like, "Hey, I'm wearing a white dress," and Alec Baldwin would disappear into the shadows. And he's like, "I know." If you just need a reminder that there's much, much, much worse superhero movies out there than the ones that are coming out today, just check out The Shadow. It's a poorly executed Batman knockoff that's very cheesy and pretty awful. Actually, the next time you even think about complaining about a Marvel movie, maybe you should shut the fuck up and see how bad The Shadow is. Humble beginnings. You have no idea how good we have it now. Whew. All right, good dump, everyone. I feel great. If you've seen any of these movies, most of them are available. Let me know what you thought. We can chat about it in the comments. Okay? See ya. Subscribe. So I ordered some tacos to be delivered to my place. I sit down, I start watching Saltburn, and tacos show up. I'm eating, having a good time, eating some delicious, delicious tacos. And then the bathtub scene happens. So much for dinner. I lost my appetite till now. I still have no appetite.